Hey, what's up YouTube? So today I'm going to go over my second day, or actually third if you include the total days, but the first day doesn't count because
Welcome.
no one was able to really play. So I'm going to go over my gear choices. I'm going to go over looking over some prices of the Aura Stacker items. And then I'm going to lastly go over Ultimatum and how to survive it because I actually figured out a pretty good way to get through most of the ultimatums and reach the final boss fight. Then I'm gonna play some clips real fast of some funny events that happened throughout the whole stream, and hope you enjoy. Now I'm gonna go over some of my gear real fast. I made a few upgrades since last time, none too crazy. I bought this weapon here. This allows me to maybe go crit in the future, and it gives me a lot of cast speed of 22% cast speed because I was really feeling like cast speed was one of the most important stats we could get and making the build feel a lot better. Also, I got a new Crown of the Inward Eye. I went to get the Smoke Mine additional move speed enchant because I felt like it would help me map faster. I was selling my old one that was perfectly divine, but I feel like this one will be a net benefit overall. This item's still the same. 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 Now, this is actually the big item that was changed. I started to use this pair of gloves that gives you Explode. So this is pretty much functionally identical to pre-nerf Explode, except for the fact that it does not work in hexproof maps. So basically what this thing does is it curses the enemies with temp chains, and when the enemies die, it explodes if they're next to corpses affected by your curses, because the curses do not expire when the corpses die. So this also gives you mana and intelligence, and this build, since it's an Archmage build, really benefits from mana. So this is actually a pretty nice pair of gloves. In addition, for the corruption, I hit +1 maximum frenzy charges, making it a lot more fun to use and giving me extra source of cast speed. So this pair of gloves added a lot of clear speed. Like, I cannot overstate enough. If you're having trouble with the ultimatums, struggling to survive or kill all the mobs, get this pair of gloves. It changes everything. And you also have a lot more survivability because enemies near corpses affected by your curses are blinded. Now there's another pair of gloves that is socketed spells are supported by blind, and this is actually better because you don't need to cast your blade fall in order for the enemies to be blinded. So the enemies can spawn and already be blinded because the corpses on the ground are cursed by temp chains still. Now another change I made was I got a new pair of new belt, I mean, and this was just to make up for the resist that I would lost from the gloves. And in the end, you want to get a Stygian if possible because a Stygian will give you a Abyss Socket, and a Abyss Socket can give you some pretty juicy stuff. Like, I started to change over my jewels to cast speed and mana, and I used more resist because I was having resist issues. So here is the same thing. I would probably get a cast speed one, or instead of phasing, because I already have a Quartz Flask. And what else did I get? I got this small cluster of Liquid Inspiration. Liquid Inspiration right here. Ideally, this one should be Liquid Inspiration too, but I couldn't find one. Because you want Liquid Inspiration here because you want more mana recovery for your flasks so that you will never be on low mana. And I think everything else is the same here. So let's see. Yeah, everything else is the same. Pair of boots I had to redo the resist. Basically, the general takeaway from my gearing choice for today is that try to get explode if possible on the gloves. And if you can't afford this pair of gloves, get faster casting in your links instead of conk effect once you have enough damage. The clear speed you get is crazy compared to having conk affected, and I wish I knew about it sooner because it was really eye-opening on how much faster it was to map without conk effect. And also make sure that your Blade Fall spell cascade was level 1. And if you're really trying to play this build for a long time, I would use Awaken spell cascade because it spawns a lot more blades and pretty much just multiplies their damage by a good amount. Now, everyone always asks me about how much is all the Aura Stacker gear and when am I going to swap, so I'm going to briefly touch up on that. So I've been trying to save up most of the Aura Stacker gear slowly now that my build is more finished. and some of the stuff is pretty expensive, so it's gonna take a little bit to swap. And I don't want to do a scuff stacker because I really like doing the ultimatums, and they're kind of important to complete, and I'll tell you why later on. So when I wanted to transition to an aura stacker, I wanted it to be as strong as possible, and I definitely wanted it to be stronger than the character I'm playing now. So some of the stuff I got is 3 medium clusters, and I think we need 6 or 8, depending on what setup we're doing. And then we need some RMR jewels. Now I'm getting dual multi with RMR, and they were pretty cheap overall. I think each of these jewels costs like less than Exalt each. I bought the Awakened Cold Pen already. I might buy an Awakened Control Destruction. So I'm already using one for I'm using Control Destruction for my build already. So I kind of want to buy items that benefit both the builds. So like gems are something I'm looking for, but can't really use these links because I don't use Elemental Focus or Lightning Pen. And I still need to buy some large clusters and voices. I'm not sure how many voices or large clusters I'm going to use at the onset. But now we can look at some of the prices of the gear. So you can see that dual multi RMR jewels are like 2x. See that Malagaros are relatively cheap. They're 9 chaos, so this is something that's getting cheaper and cheaper. On the flip side, you have Prism Guardian, which is actually getting more and more expensive. Now, some of the good implicits you can get on this are +2 of gems, and I think this mod is really underrated too. If you can get your hands on that, like something like this is really good too. 80% of physical damage taken for hits taken as cold, which means you have extra physical damage reduction, which is something we're actually sorely missing. Now, Void Walkers, this is a +2 one. I have it on 4 link for some reason. Like 10 chaos, so this is not too bad. So you can buy this. Amulet, I'm probably just gonna go with Amulet with 1. Yeah, Amulet with 1 multi and without the aura to start with because it's gonna be hard to fit in at the start. And you can see it's around like 50 chaos to 1x depending on which one you get. Now Nebulous is something that's gotten a lot cheaper. And let's see how much it is. So you pretty much want one multi or you want one cast speed or something like that. So you can see it's a 1x. So it's incredibly more affordable now. So you can see some stuff is getting more affordable, some stuff is getting more expensive. I've tried to tell you like which items are probably the best to invest in early on. And usually like uniques go down in price as people find it more and more often. I guess the exception seems to be the Prism Guardian for some reason. And Shavs is also getting cheaper, 6x. Maybe we'll soon see some +1 Shavs that you can get. But yeah, I mean, I have most of the gear. I can anticipate a switch with it, like either the end of today's stream or tomorrow, depending on how many items I find. Now let's talk about some of the ultimatums. So I actually find ultimatums to be kind of fun now that I know. So like a lot of people don't know this, but in order to reach the final boss, you have to never fail an ultimatum for like multiple times. Like I don't know how many times, maybe like 5 to 10. But at the end, after you keep beating him up, he'll offer you a boss fight, and you can get a crazy reward. I personally received like 10 ancient orbs. So you can see the encounter types. So encounter types, you have waves of enemies, survive, protect the altar, stand in the circles, and boss, which is what I was talking about. Now, stand in the those circles is pretty hard. Survive is probably the easiest, and these two are like equal. Now, let's go over the mods real fast. So, in my opinion, the Ruin stuff is free. So, like, Ruin here, and then the other one is like Stalking Ruin. I feel like this is the easiest one. If you have the choice, you should always take this, because you should already be kiting the whole time. So, this mod is literally useless. So, what this means is that this gives you 1 ruin each time it hits you, and once you reach 7, the ultimatum automatically fails. Now, the other stuff that's bad is mainly just whatever's bad for your build. Like, for me, I'm Archmage, right? So, if I take lightning damage from mana cost, I literally just instantly kill myself. Now, I feel like this one will be bad for the Aura Stacker. This would be bad if you're playing, like, a Frenzy, Power Charge, Badge of the Brotherhood build. And let's see. These are just bad in general. I've heard that Stormcaller is the worst. This is really bad if you have Chaos, low Chaos res. I haven't really experienced this one that much, but I guess if you have bad CB immunity, then it would be really bad. This limited arena thing is absolutely awful. and it makes it incredibly hard. This left recovery rate is bad for any like life regen or mob builds. And this is actually really bad for me too because it makes the arcane cloak last a very long time. Now, the ultimatum monsters are pretty scary, but I have a tip for everyone in what to do for ultimatum. So ultimatum, for me personally on my build, I cycle through my cooldown on arcane cloak. So I run around the edge of it when my arcane cloak is not up. So you see, right now it gives me a 6,000 ES or HP buff. So during this time, pretty much unkillable. So I have like 6,000 on top of like 6,000 here. It's like 1620k effective HP. So I have this up, and then while this is up, I will be Blade Blasting and Blade Falling. And then as soon as it's down, I see the buff fall off. I run around on the edges. If it gets too scary, I go out of the circle a little bit. And then I go back in when I have Arcane Cloak and everything up. I also started using this Trigger Void Spear. And this thing is actually pretty useful because you can kite through it. And it slows every mob around it so they can't reach you. It's especially useful for kiting the Ruin. But basically, if you go towards this strategy and use an Explode Gloves, you can easily complete every ultimatum. I actually personally went through 10 without failing. I fought the boss, but then I forgot the boss still had the Ruin going on, so I failed it and lost 10 Ancient Orbs. But hopefully that should help you out with the ultimatums and this video. Kind of gives me a good idea of how to progress through this character, and I hope it's helped you understand my upgrade path and what you will need to do to transition to the Aura Stacker. Now I'm going to play a few clips of some cool stream highlights, and yeah, thanks for watching. The Maven is a bitch. Just wait until I'm an Aura Stacker.
Can I not have at a moment's
Oh, it is a bad idea not to kill any mobs. Can you end? Holy.
Be not ashamed.
The control. How am I gonna defeat him?
Fire seeks
Oh
what
shit!
it will.
What happened?
Time to end this.
I have nothing more to give.
Feel his power. Your series of victories has reached its end.
What? Hope you enjoyed all the clips and this video, and it has helped you out in playing this build and trying to play the Aura Stacker in this league. I know it's been a rough journey, some of the stuff is pretty overpriced, but I believe that it'll get a lot better. And it'll be eventually a pretty affordable build, because the helmet for Alpha's House is actually kind of cheap because of the lab change. Now, be sure to like and subscribe if you like the video. And I'll still be streaming every single day on Twitch. I pretty much just stream for like 18-hour days and then sleeping for 4 and then editing videos for 2. And then uploading it and then repeat. Pretty much eat, sleep, rave, repeat at the moment. Except eat, sleep, PoE, repeat. But anyhow, be sure to like and subscribe. And check out my Twitch channel. And I'll see you next time. And good luck on your drops in PoE. And see you later.